Thank you for inviting me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nasta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 7, text number 34 and 34, yes? Wait a minute. Wait, is this right? Text number 32 and 33. Thank you so much. I think I got that right this time. Okay, so I will read the Sanskrit. This is, this is Nanda Maharaj speaking. Kim nas tapaschirnam adhoksa jarchanam purte tadatam utabhuta sauradam yatsam pareta punareva balako tistya svabhandum pranayan upastitaha. So I'll read the word for word, I guess, yeah? Kim, is that correct? Read the word for word. Kim, what kind of, not by us, tapa, austerity, chirnam, has been done for a very long time, adhoksaja, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, archanam, worshipping, purta, constructing public roads, ista, activities for public benefit, datam, giving charity, uta, or else, bhuta sauridam, because of love for the general public, yet by the result of which, samparita, even though the child was practically lost in death, hunak eva, even again because of pious activities, balaka, the child, distya, by fortune, swabandhum, all his relatives, pranayan, to please, upastitaha, is present here. Translation. Nanda Maharaj and the others said, we must previously have performed austerities for a very long time, worshipped the Supreme Personality of Godhead, performed pious activities for public life, constructing public roads and wells, and also given charity, as a result of which this boy, although faced with death, has returned to give happiness to his relatives. Purport. Nanda Maharaj confirmed that by pious activities, one can become a sadhu, so that one will be happy at home and one's children will be protected. In Shastra, there are many injunctions for karmis and jnanis, especially for karmis, by which they can become pious and happy, even in material life. According to Vedic civilization, one should perform activities for the benefit of the public, such as constructing public roads, planting trees on both sides of the road so that people can walk in the shade, and constructing public wells so that everyone can take water without difficulty. One should perform austerity to control one's desires. One must simultaneously worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then one becomes pious, and as a result, one is happy even in material conditions of life. So then I will read the next text. Also, I won't read the Sanskrit, but the next translation is, having seen all these incidents in Brihadban, Nanda Maharaj became more and more astonished, and he remembered the words spoken to him by Vasudeva in Mathura. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Mano Bhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Sapadantikam Vanchakapataru Vyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatavine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you all so much for joining. There are two things that stood out to me. Let me just turn off this phone. Unfortunately, I'm working from my phone here. Okay. There are two things that stood out to me in these two beautiful verses and this purport. The idea of becoming happy by helping others. And the second one is being astonished. The residents of Vrindavan are always astonished by Krishna and his astonishing, wonderful activities. So let me try to unpack those two thoughts a little bit. One phrase that are a couple of words that stood out to me in the Sanskrit was this phrase, bhuta sauridam, activities done because of love for the general public. So these Nanda Maharaj and the others are speaking that this boy, although he's been on the verge of faced with death, he's been returned to us somehow or other because we did some good work to help others. This is, they're so qualified by their devotional service, but they're also bringing out another point that because we work to help others, to serve others. So three things that are really mentioned in this purport, three keys to happiness, I would say. First of all, simplify and control one's desires by living a simple life of austerity, simplifying one's desires, controlling one's passions and desires by austerity, living a simple life. The second one, to work for the benefit of the general public, which is really outlined in this purport. Plant trees so that people can walk in shade, dig wells, all these things for the benefit of the general public, right? And then the third one is to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the result is that one will be happy in all material conditions of life because they're just trying to please the personality of Godhead and expecting his mercy and lowering the expectations of this material world. So first of all, on this point of simplifying one's desires with a life of austerity, I was reminded of a quote from Pope Francis, where he says that a life of sacrifice is a privilege. Isn't that beautiful? So sometimes we think, oh gosh, I have to follow these regulative principles and I have to chant all these rounds and I can't be out like enjoying myself like the non-devotees. Sometimes that may cross our minds, but this is a beautiful vision from Pope Francis that a life of sacrifice is a privilege. Yeah. And these regulative principles are also principles of understanding, principles of cognition. I was just hearing Prabhupada speak this morning when I was getting ready, and he was saying that someone who's not a devotee can't understand Bhagavad Gita because these principles that we follow actually open our hearts and trying to, think of Krishna, remember Krishna, offer our activities to Krishna. They open our hearts to understanding Bhagavad Gita and Krishna consciousness. So, I want to look at the character, first of all, Nanda Maharaj. Srila Prabhupada says in one of his purports in Bhagavad Gita that a devotee sees the world just like a kindly father sees his children. So that's so beautiful. What a vision to see everyone in the world, even the people who may be inimical to me, to see everyone as a kindly father sees his children. And Nanda Maharaj, of course, is the perfect example of that. So I want to highlight, there's a couple of nice points about Nanda Maharaj in many places in Nectar of Devotion, but I found this in Padyavali. So first of all, there's a description by Rupa Goswami of Nanda Maharaj. He says, I offer my respectful obeisances to Nanda Maharaj. His garments, these are hooks for remembering. Sometimes during the day we can remember Nanda Maharaj by these hooks. So what are the hooks? His garments are as red, he wears red, as a banduka flower. His face is handsome. His chubby form, he's chubby, is the golden color of sandalwood paste, and his eyes are enchanted by the sight of Lord Mukunda. So here it says enchanted. We could also say, as we'll discuss a little bit more, astonished. His eyes are always astonished and enchanted by Krishna, by Lord Mukunda. And then here's another famous verse by a devotee, Raghupati Upadhyaya. This one's very famous. Those who are afraid of material existence worship Vedic literature. Some worship Smriti, the corollaries to Vedic literature, and others worship the Mahabharata. As far as I am concerned, and this is a great scholar speaking, right? I worship Nanda Maharaj, the father of Krishna, in whose courtyard the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the absolute truth, is playing. So yeah, some people are worshiping the Vedas. This great devotee, full in Sanskrit knowledge, he's worshiping Nanda Maharaj. So that's something very, very nice. It's said that, this idea of working for the general public, following austerities, worshiping the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it's said that we should not live for happiness. We should live for the happiness of others. But it said we should not live for happiness, but we should live for holiness. So I really, really like that. If we pursue happiness, we tend to find that it's elusive, it's slipping through my fingers. But if I try to give happiness to others, then I also become happy. So let's see. Krishna's pastimes. Let's see. This idea of just reach out, try to serve others as an offering to Krishna, try to help others, try to include others, try to make other people happy, and be Krishna-centered in that. And then Krishna will be satisfied, we will be satisfied, and others will be satisfied. I was thinking in the last few days about, I think we all tend to feel excluded sometimes. I didn't get invited to be on this committee. I didn't get the raise I was seeking in my job. I didn't get invited to a party, or all of these feelings. I think everyone experiences that in different ways. But if I try to include Krishna in my actions and not be me-centered, then I will feel more satisfied. I was thinking about this. Ultimately, I believe a devotee should aspire to be included in what? In Krishna's beautiful dance of love, in Krishna's rasa dance, which is actually a beautiful metaphor for community. When we think of the gopis trying to bring others, to welcome others into Krishna's rasa dance, that I'm not so qualified, but Krishna, once Prabhupada said that Radharani said, this devotee, he is so good, he's better than me. Please accept him. This is the mood of Radharani. So this idea of, just like when we see on the Harinam Sankirtan, that we can see so many others maybe just walking by who never even heard the holy name, sometimes feel encouraged to dance and be included. So we can sort of face in in our Sankirtan, or we can sort of face out and include the whole community. And in one sense, that's a metaphor for the rasa dance, including the whole world in welcoming everyone into Krishna's beautiful, loving dance. So, yeah, and there's another quote that I like that this is from a Benedictine teacher. He says, mysticism is an experience of limitless belonging. So rather than feeling excluded, if we go into this place of mysticism, Andrea is saying, let's dance with Krishna, facing out, welcoming everyone. Yeah. So this idea of mysticism is an experience of limitless belonging. So if we welcome others in service to Krishna, we will also feel that belonging. So what about this idea of astonishment? You know, in Vrindavan, there's this mood of actually purvarag. Purvarag means it's a type of separation, but it's a mood of always seeing Krishna's pastimes for the first time. So every time Srimati Radharani sees Krishna, she's feeling like she's seeing him for the very first time. Sometimes these pastimes are repeated. I mean, in the spiritual world, they're repeated again and again. But always there's this experience of seeing them for the very first time. So this idea of, it was used in the second verse, enchanted, Nanda Maharaj is enchanted. I was also say astonished. Krishna's pastime should always charm us and astonish us like Nanda Maharaj. And I think part of this is slowing down. We tend to be, always so running so fast on automatic pilot. I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to get here. So often that's in our service to Krishna. But if we can slow down enough to notice and be astonished by Krishna, then Krishna and his pastimes will charm us. Just, slow down to catch a glimpse of the joy that gratefulness opens the door. Yeah, slow down to experience the joy that gratefulness will open the door to that joy. Gratefulness opens the door to joy, and catch a glimpse of a mood of surprise. So on that topic of surprise, there's a nice couple of pastimes that I'll quote from Nectar of Devotion. This is about astonishment. Lord Brahma was once watching all the cows and cowherd boys dressed in yellow garments and decorated with valuable jewels, right? After Krishna expanded. The boys were expanding their forearms and were being worshipped by many hundreds of other Brahmas. All the cowherd boys began to express their joyfulness for being with Krishna, the Supreme Brahman. Actually, they were expanded from Krishna. We're all expanded from Krishna, though, right? At that time, Brahma showed his astonishment by exclaiming, "What am I seeing here?" This is an instance of astonishment in ecstatic love. Here's another one. Here's Krishna being astonished. Yeah. Once Krishna was watching Sridham very expertly using his stick to fight with Balaram, who was an expert club fighter and who had even killed the Pralambasura demon with his club. When Krishna saw Balaram finally defeated by Sridham, who was using only a small stick, Krishna became filled with pleasure and began to look upon Sridham with great wonder. See, Krishna is astonished. In this instance, there's a mixture of astonishment, fraternity, and chivalry in devotional service. The fraternity and chivalry are considered the parts, and the astonishment is considered the whole. So this idea of being astonished by Krishna, this is, I would say, moment to moment Krishna consciousness, to be astonished by Krishna's wonderfulness, by his gifts in my life, by his pastimes, by his holy name. This kind of astonishment brings us to the place of authentic Krishna consciousness. Here's a nice quote from G.K. Chesterton. "We perish due to lack of wonder, surprise, not wonders. So, yeah, it's not that maybe I don't have so many wonderful things in my life, but I'm perishing due to lack of wonder. Yeah. So, nice points, huh? Nanda Maharaj, Mother Yasoda, they're always struck with wonder, and they're always astonished by Krishna's wonderfulness. And it's said that surprise is the seed of gratefulness. So we have to become more aware of surprise and relish surprise as life's gift. So, yeah, it's the beginning of gratitude. It's the beginning of astonishment. It's the beginning of joy to be surprised. Yeah, and this is the wisdom of a grateful heart. It begins with surprise. Here's another nice quote. This is from a famous poet, Mary Oliver. I hope you all don't mind me being a bit eclectic, but that's just the way I am. So here's what Mary Oliver says. She says, when it's over, I want to say, all my life, I was a bride married to astonishment, amazement. So yeah, a bride married to amazement, astonishment. Yeah, do you like that? I hope you like that quote. So yeah, I believe when we're helping others, this is another point about helping others. When we're helping others, Krishna reciprocates and we get kind of a high. We get an experience of that feeling. I'm sure Adipurusha lives in that high when he's serving so many people, prasadam, on the Lower East Side. I think he probably lives, Andrea is saying she likes my eclecticism. Thank you, Andrea. But yeah, I'm sure, Adi, you spend a lot of your day in that kind of mood of feeling reciprocation from Krishna and that kind of high by serving other people. But another point to make is that if we're always giving, always, it's almost like always breathing out. We also have to breathe in and feed our own selves and nourish our own selves. So this is a beautiful balance. Breathing out, giving, breathing in, receiving. And this is the call and response, which is the whole process of bhakti, right? The call and response of the call and the response, the call and the response. So breathing out, helping others, breathing in, also accepting nourishment myself. This uplifting community is so encouraging for everyone. And I think bhakti is very much a process of relationality, being in relationship. It's not something we do ourselves. It's not something we do alone. It's always done in relationship. Sometimes Prabhupada talks about, you never see a picture of Krishna alone. He's always with his cows, or he's always with Radharani, or he's always with the gopis or the cowherd boys, or the residents, the animals of Vrindavan. And this is very much the mood of the Vrajabasis. There's a phrase, the Vrajabasi spirit, that they're always encouraging each other. And Krishna is always encouraging everyone. He's encouraging the cows also. Krishna's always encouraging the cows. He's encouraging all the residents of Vrindavan. They're always rooting and encouraging for each other. There's a very nice phrase given by a commentary from Bilva Mangala Thakur's text, where he says that the yogis out of Vrindavan, they're meditating on the super soul within their hearts, and they're seeing the super soul within their hearts. But that super soul, he's not talking to them. He's busy in Vrindavan. He's busy talking to the cows of Vrindavan. And what is he saying to the cows? He's asking them, oh, are the flies bothering you? Are you missing your mother? Can I scratch you under your chin? So he's always busy talking in Vrindavan, talking to the cows, talking to the cowherd boys, talking to the gopis. And even though the yogis out of Vrindavan are seeing him within their hearts, he's not talking to them. So that's a very interesting point. Yeah, and another interesting point that's given in Nectar of Devotion, and I quote here, I think this is very, very important, that it's because of love that someone becomes astonished by another person's wonderful activities. So just think about that a bit, that if I don't love someone, even if they do something really wonderful, create a skyscraper or go to the moon or, get a raise or become elected president. Actually, it's a very nice point that there was just a woman elected to be president of India. Isn't that interesting? In India, a woman was just appointed president. I don't know if it's an appointment or an election, but yeah, a tribal woman was just given the post of being president of India. I don't know if all of you have heard this. And what did she say when she accepted this very esteemed post? She's a tribal woman. She has very dark skin. And she was saying, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath. This is what she was saying in her acceptance speech. So yeah, just this point of when we love someone, we can be astonished. So she must have been astonished that by the grace of Lord Jagannath had given her this wonderful position. So yeah, these are a few thoughts on being astonished, being in the Brijavasi spirit, helping others. Let me just mention this again, what I mentioned at the beginning. These three things are mentioned in the purport, some keys to happiness. So first of all, I want to say that this taking a pause to notice and to be astonished, that's a key to happiness. It's a key to gratefulness. It's a key to surprise, which is a key to gratefulness and wonder. But then in the purport, three things are mentioned. Simplify, control your desires, our desires, by living a simple life of austerity, only accepting what's coming without undue effort. Of course, sometimes in Krishna's service, we try to endeavor very strongly. Srila Prabhupada was asked by, I think, Tamal Krishna Maharaj. He said, I think this is mentioned in the I'll Build You a Temple book, wonderful book by Giriraj Swami. Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked Prabhupada, isn't this a big over endeavor trying to build this temple in Mumbai? I mean, there are obstacles coming from every direction, from the police, from the people, the municipality, this, that, and the other thing. And Prabhupada said, yes, this actually has been an over endeavor. But he wanted to do this because he was so in love with his wonderful Krishna. He wanted to do something extraordinary for Krishna. And then once Srila Prabhupada also said, what is the use of your being Americans if you can't do something wonderful for Krishna? So, maybe this is why he came to New York. He didn't go to London. His godbrothers went to London, where people are very proper. They do things very properly. Prabhupada came to New York. Maybe we were not so proper, but maybe we had a spirit of maybe doing something extraordinary. So yeah, what's the use of our being Americans if we can't do something wonderful for Krishna? But in our own lives, we can simplify our own lives. And at the same time, this will help empower us to do something wonderful for Krishna. So yeah, simplify our own lives, control our desires by austerity. The second one is to work for the benefit of the general public. This idea of bhuta sauridam. Because of love for the general public, Nanda Maharaj is saying, that's why this boy has been saved from death. So yeah, working for the general public, look around to see what I can do to help people, and then worship at the same time, do it all as an offering to Krishna, worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So I want to leave time for reflections and maybe questions. What was important for you here? What was a takeaway? What's a hook that you can remember today while you're doing your day? Maybe you'll think about how Nanda Maharaj is a little bit chubby and he likes to wear red, and he likes to, his skin is the color of sandalwood pulp. Yeah. So, yeah. Any feedback?
Rukmini Devi, A wonderful class. How do we properly receive in bhakti? Do we expect it?
Sorry, didn't hear. There's some talking.
How do we receive in bhakti? How do we properly receive? Do we expect it? Do we feel entitled? And when we don't receive something that we think we should receive, how do we go about this? Do we take an offense? Do we take humble position? How do we receive in bhakti?
Thank you. That's a really, really beautiful question. And I think, I think humility is the reality. When we become proud, it's because of some illusion. But the reality is that we're very tiny and everything comes to us as a gift. So therefore, we should live in gratitude, live in surprise that, wow, today I received this as a gift. I received this association of devotees. I received this gift to be able to associate with this bhakti-centered community. I mean, we come to this world empty-handed. We leave empty-handed. We're here for such a short time. I mean, so many beloved devotees are leaving this world one by one by one. So we're here for a very brief, transient time. Everything comes as a gift. And if I think that it comes by my own efforts, by my own wonderfulness, then I'm in illusion. So we have to pop that bubble and remove that mask of illusion of thinking that I'm so entitled. This is we think of teenagers like that, right? When a teenager, I know everything. My parents, they have nothing to teach me. I know everything. My guru has nothing to teach me. Sometimes we see, personally, I don't look at the internet kind of gossip, but I heard that one disciple put something on the internet. A disciple disagrees with his guru. He posted this on the internet. How sad that is, that a disciple should feel so proud, that he should feel inspired to post something on the internet, how he is disagreeing with his guru. So this mask or this pride, this entitlement, this arrogance that bubble has to be popped, and we have to come to the place of humility. But you know what? Just by the course of living in this world, we become so often humiliated, right? By things that, by the mistakes we make, right? So then we get a chance to become humble by Krishna's grace. So thank you, Krishna, for the humiliations that help me become humble. Thank you. I hope this is helpful. Haribol. Any other feedback or thoughts or questions, or what was important for you here? What's a takeaway for you here?
Yamuna Janet, maybe? I think she had her hand on.
Hello, Rukmini. Thank you for a wonderful, wonderful class. So many, many takeaways, but I don't want to hog the time, but I love this idea about the astonishment. And there's a writer, Emma Mott. I think you would love her books. She has a book called Help, Thanks, Wow. And she says those 3 essential prayers. And that idea about astonishment, and it was making me think of something that Damodara Maharaj says a lot. He says, where attention goes, energy flows. And if we stop and we have the time to look around, there's majors of things to be really astonished about. And from that astonishment comes gratitude, and from gratitude comes humility, and humility comes service. So I love that. I love that point that, to live a life, and I'm around children a lot, so they're always wow, wow, wow. Such a beautiful way to live. And if we pay attention, there's that astonishment. So thank you so much. Beautiful, beautiful class.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful. It was a little hard to hear you, so I'm going to repeat some of the things you said. That where attention goes, energy flows. So if we're rushing around and we're not taking the pause to give attention to the gifts in our life, then we will not be astonished. And that astonishment, is the door to gratefulness, and gratefulness is the door to a nourished heart. And these are the seeds of humility, of gratitude, of real Krishna consciousness. Thank you so much. And you mentioned a book that I love so much. It's a tiny little book. You're looking for a gift for someone, maybe someone you can't quite yet give a Bhagavad Gita. It's a book called Help, Thanks, Wow. That's a beautiful, gifty little book. So this is the idea of astonishment. Help, Krishna, help. Thanks, Krishna. And wow, I'm so grateful. I'm so wowed by your wonderfulness. So thank you for that input. Yeah, I think this is very, very important. And here we see someone might say, oh, Rukmini, you're coming up with all of these kind of made up things. But here we see Nanda Maharaj is astonished by the wonderfulness of Krishna. And this is very much the mood of the residents of Vrindavan, always seeing for the first time. I mean, imagine if we could chant the holy name when I chant my japa. Imagine if I could be chanting each word, each mantra, as though I'm hearing it for the first time, in that mood of this is called Purva Rag. Imagine that. If I could be, would that be broken names? Would that be authentic chanting? If I could be hearing each mantra as though I'm hearing it for the very first time. Sometimes we hear Krishna book or we hear Krishna's pastimes, we hear the holy name, 16 rounds. What is that? 1,728 names, mantras. Yeah, we hear it. Oh, I heard this. I did this. I heard this story before. And that's sort of a mood of pride. It's a mood of entitlement that, I know all of that. I heard that, Isn't that the way teenagers act, entitlement? Yeah, Mom, you told me that 100 times, stop nagging me. So sometimes we have to come to the point of that humble gratitude. What else? Somebody else has some thoughts or feedback or?
Dr. Hugo had a hand up. Want to go ahead? Oh, he took it down. I don't know, maybe he's busy.
Okay. Well,
I think his audio is not working.
Sorry.
I think his audio wasn't working because you could see him talking, but Bhima Prabhu had his hand up before.
Okay. Bhima Prabhu?
Yes, Haribol, Rukmini, Devi, dasi. Thank you very much. Can you hear? Can I be heard? Okay, because I'm sort of out in a field and it breaks up every once in a while.
Yeah.
Everything's okay.
Yes.
I just wanted to repeat what you said about slowing down, and you said it 3 times. We find whether we're involved in the material world, whether you're running a farm or running off to the subway to go to business and stuff, we lose that stillness that we so desperately need to empty ourselves out and let Krishna's name, Krishna's pastimes flow in. It's often said in a lot of different spiritual quotations where you have to empty your cup in order for Krishna or God to fill it. And that emptying is a sort of a humility, and humility isn't a self-abnegation. It's more of a, Krishna, you are my everything. I mean, my inward breath, my outward breath. I didn't design these lungs. Not a single cell in my body is under my control. This is just simply reasoning of a person with common sense to understand that everything, even our material body, is under the control of a higher nature. And that, of course, with us is Krishna. And we're so grateful, as you mentioned, that not only do we have this higher nature to turn to, but that it's a personal, loving, endearing, astonishing higher nature. And that this can only be recognized and felt, as you mentioned, in astonishment. And that astonishment comes when you are just still. In the Bible, it says, be still, such a simple thing. Be still and know that I am God. So Jehovah says that to, I think, David in the Bible when he's going to war and he's afraid. He's about to enter into major warfare and he's afraid, sort of like Arjun. Arjun wasn't afraid, but afraid of the results of all the people being killed. And God says, don't worry, I have your back. And he's like, this doubt and that doubt. And he says, just be still. And just remember, I am God and I'm speaking to you now. So we're in warfare every morning, every day that we get up. Those of us who are not so-called fully engaged in devotional service. So we have our day set. those of us who are still struggling on the razor's edge. And I just wanted to thank you for reminding us that we need to be brides to astonishment. And we always have to remember that the bride stands at the altar waiting for the groom to arrive.
Wow.
And Nanda Maharaj is the father.
Right.
So yeah. All right.
Beautiful.
So thank you very much. All this stuff came up in me while you were speaking. And thank you for quoting from Mary Oliver. I also read of her, and she says a lot of wonderful things, especially how wonderful Krishna is. Haribol. Haribol.
Thank you, Bhima, for so many beautiful observations and reflections. What a beautiful idea that we could all be brides to. She says amazement. I changed it to astonishment. If we could be brides at the altar of astonishment, and Nanda Maharaj can be our father. Thank you so much, so much. I think you guys should sign up Bhima to give a class for the Bhakti Center morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. So many beautiful observations, and listening to him was so profound. And I was thinking how, so often when we're listening to another person, we're just thinking of how I can respond, but we can listen so deeply and learn so much, If you don't mind another eclectic comment, the Dalai Lama says that when we're talking, we're just repeating what we already know, but when we're listening, we can learn something new. So thank you, Bhima, for teaching me something new, and I'm so grateful. So thank you all. I don't know, is there time for any more comments? Let's see, what does my phone say? The phones are always correct.
There's 3 more minutes if someone
Okay. Anybody else have some thoughts?
Hare Krishna, Rukmini.
Hare Krishna.
Bhakti Devi. It's so wonderful to see your beautiful face and your beautiful smile. And thank you for a wonderful class.
Thank you.
I have been in astonishment over the last, I guess, couple of weeks hearing the Bhagavatam and hearing about Krishna's killing of the demons as a baby, which I'm struck by it because Krishna is so nonchalant about it when he does it, and then at the end of it, he's dancing and he's giggling on top of their bodies. And then Jai Jagannath said yesterday, well, he's in pure bliss all the time. And I said, oh my God, he's right. He's killing the demons in pure bliss. And I thought that was even astonishing.
Yeah, isn't that true? Isn't that true? And some devotees who are not so advanced on the path of bhakti, they try to dissect Krishna. And I only like the parts where he's dancing with the gopis or being nice. I don't like the parts where he's killing demons. But that's such a part of his wonderfulness. And as you're saying so wonderfully, he does it with such nonchalance and such joy. And isn't that even more extraordinary and wonderful? So thank you for being in astonishment for the last few weeks. That's really fantastic. So I'm aspiring for astonishment, and I don't want to dissect Krishna and only accept the parts of Krishna that are I see to be sweet, but I have to accept the parts where he's also killing with great wonder and astonishment and nonchalance and joy. So thank you all so much. Thank you for inviting me once again to the Bhakti Center Srimad Bhagavatam class. May all of you be blessed by Srila Prabhupada and Lord Krishna's wonderfulness. Hare Krishna.
Prabhu, do you have a few more minutes to take one more question, or do you need to go?
I thought that the deities are opening, so please, I have time, but I thought that the curtains are going to open and the bells are going to ring. So please, please, please. Yes, I have time. I just don't know the process here.
Since we're on Zoom, I think it's great to take advantage. And so perhaps, I think Bhakta Hugo has his hand up again, and he didn't get a chance before.
Sure.
Is my audio working now?
Yes.
I can hear you very clearly.
Wonderful. Thank you for the wonderful class. I appreciate the eclecticism. It's always nice to see how these universal principles spread and resonate with different people on different paths, going towards the same destination in their own ways. I especially appreciate the point of right, just astonishment, kind of back to what Bhima Prabhu was saying particularly, just this idea that everything we experience is such a miracle. Generally in our society, I mean, it's just the way we're raised. We don't think about things like breathing or eating, or having a roof over our heads or the laws of nature, these kinds of things. But I remember when I first read the Bhagavad Gita for the first time, and chapter 7 particularly stood out to me, and those ended up being the first verses I memorized. But when Krishna says that everything exists upon me as pearl strung on a thread, and he says, I am the taste and water, I am the light of the sun and moon, I am the syllable Om in the Vedic mantras, I am the strength of the strong and the intelligence of the intelligent. We don't think about this, but I mean, how do we digest food? We don't know. How do we taste food? We don't know. How is it that we're able to breathe and feel nourished simply by the breath? And then we look out at nature. We can look at a single leaf of a tree and see the patterns that it grows in and how it's perfectly designed and shaped for that tree and that climate at that age, at that time, to be able to take in sunshine, create energy, and all these things. The world is just full of miracles, nonstop, moment to moment, second to second. And unfortunately, we live in a society where we just kind of take it for granted. Like, oh yeah, of course this happens. I mean, how else would it be? But I mean, like you said, when we pause, when we take that moment and we think about, everything happening within us, to us, around us, it's really incredible. And staying in that kind of mood of childlike wonder is so important and so beneficial for our well-being on a spiritual level. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Bhakti Hugo. Thank you so much for your holiness. Thank you for your holy observations of all of these beautiful gifts. And yeah, as Bhima was saying, empty ourselves, right? And what does it mean to empty ourselves? It means to be a beginner, like a child is a beginner, or this Purvarag, I never saw it before. See everything as though I never saw it before. I never heard it before. This is the sense of wonder. Thank you all so much for your beautiful holiness. I'm so grateful. Are there any other thoughts or questions?
I see Krishna Daya Prabhu. So,
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu, for the wonderful class. It's just an observation. The point you mentioned, happiness and holiness. So we should aspire for holiness. So that is a very nice point to contemplate on. Like we see all the personalities, the Pandavas, the Vasudeva. So they were all, ready to forsake the immediate happiness for the, higher cause, the holiness, Krishna's things. And then they are glorious and they're examples for all of us. So thank you for driving that point again, Prabhu. Thank you so
Beautiful.
much.
Thank you so much. Yeah. Aspire for holiness and look around to see how I can make others happy. How can I make Krishna happy? How can I make others happy? Thank you all so much. This has really been a joy for me to get your association. I'm so, so grateful. And all glories to Shishi Radha Muralidhar, Gaura Chandra, and Lord Nrsimha Varaha, and all glories to the Bhakti Center, and all glories to all of you beautiful people who attend the Bhakti Center class from many places in the world and the universe. Hare Krishna.
thank you so much. It's very sweet, and as always, so much to wonder and really heart melting thinking about it and advance together.
Thank you, Angelica. Thank you so much. Thank you, Andrea. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here.